Hey everyone, if you've been following the housing market even a little bit these past few years, you're probably with me on this. It's been kind of like a roller coaster, right? Up, down, sideways. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been tough to predict. But
It's
today,
been a wild ride.
yeah, really wild. Today, though, we're going to dive into something that might just give us all a little bit of optimism, right? And that's the fact that there are actually more homes coming up for sale.
It's true. And it's a breath of fresh air for those folks who have been kind of, waiting on the sidelines, hoping for more options to appear.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I remember when it felt like you'd find a decent place and boom, there were already 5 offers in. It was just discouraging,
It was super competitive.
Yeah. And I think for today's deep dive, what we really want to do is look into why this is happening. Why are more homes hitting the market? And what does that mean for anyone out there who's thinking, okay, maybe now's the time. We've got some great resources to help us unpack all this,
We do.
including, let's see, an article from Sarah and Brandon Arlington over at Rooster Homes. I always love their stuff. Super practical advice. And that motto, when we serve you succeed, always a good reminder, right?
Absolutely. Great folks.
Yeah. And their article also features some thoughts from Daryl Fairweather, the chief economist over at Redfin.
Always a great resource to tap into.
Oh, for sure. So between these two, I think we're going to get a pretty solid understanding of what this increase in listings really means and what it could mean for, well, for you if you're listening and thinking about buying.
Exactly. And just to kind of kick things off, let's be real. The past few years in this market, they haven't been easy for buyers, have they?
No, not at all. It's been frustrating, right? You finally find something that checks a few boxes and it's gone before you can even blink. It's been this constant scramble.
A real shortage of inventory.
Total shortage, yeah. And that's what makes Daryl Fairweather's take on the current situation so interesting. In the Rooster Homes article, she says, and I wrote this down because it's a great quote, "Now is the best time to buy in the last 2 years." Now, obviously, she's taken a lot of things into account there, but one of the big ones is, and I quote again, "There is significantly more inventory."
Yeah, and that right there, that's the key phrase. Significantly more inventory. Because while mortgage rates and prices, those are always going to be part of the conversation, the sheer number of homes available, that really underpins everything. More listings usually equals more choices for buyers, which in turn hopefully can make the whole process a little less, well, a little less stressful.
For sure. More options, more breathing room. So let's unpack this more inventory thing, right? One of the clearer signs that things are changing is the number of what we call new listings.
Right.
These are simply the homes that have just recently hit the market. And the data is pretty clear on this. There's a definite upward trend going on.
Yeah. It's a steady climb, and it's been going on for a few months now. We're not just talking about a one-off spike. So back in December of 2024, we saw about 237,758 new homes hit the market. That's a decent number. But then come January of 2025,
Things start to pick up, right?
they do. January saw a big jump to 327,016.
So almost 100,000 more homes available just like that.
Exactly. And the momentum kept building. February saw 353,658 new listings.
And then March really took the cake.
It did. 435,960 new listings hit the market in March. And, not only is that the highest number in recent months, but when you look at the data visually, it just jumps out at you.
Yeah, that peak on the graph really tells the story.
Yeah.
And what it's saying is that more and more homeowners, for whatever reason, are deciding now's the time to sell.
And that makes sense, right? When you think about the natural flow of things, you've got families who are maybe outgrowing their current space, they need more bedrooms, a bigger backyard, that sort of thing. And on the flip side, you've got empty nesters who are ready to downsize, maybe move into something a bit more manageable.
Right, right. And then there are always those folks who are relocating for work or to be closer to family. So it's a mix of all these different life changes that contribute to the ebb and flow of the housing market. But the point is, for buyers, this steady increase in new listings means more choices, more possibilities.
Exactly. A bigger pool to choose from, which is always a good thing.
Absolutely. And it's not just a recent trend, is it? This isn't just it's spring, so more houses are on the market kind of thing. When we take a step back and compare this March to Marches of previous years, the increase becomes even more noticeable.
Yeah, you're right. It's definitely more than just a seasonal thing. It seems like there's a real shift happening. So if we look at just the month of March over the last few years, we can really see a clear pattern. So March 2021, we saw a pretty healthy 454,354 new listings. Then in 2022, it dipped a little, 435,132.
That's still pretty strong, right?
Yeah, still a good number. But then in 2023, we saw a more noticeable drop to 342,380. And I think that's when a lot of buyers started feeling the pinch, that limited inventory really started to bite.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. It felt like every good house was getting snatched up instantly.
Right. So 2024 saw a bit of a rebound with 395,536 new listings. But then March of 2025, well, it blew the previous few years out of the water. 435,960 new listings.
Back up to those 2021 levels. That's a big jump. And in the Rooster Homes article, they cite a statistic from Realtor.com. It says new listings in March were 10.2% higher than last year, March 2024. That's a significant increase.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it points to something more fundamental happening, something beyond just seasonal fluctuations. It seems like sellers who might have been holding back, maybe waiting to see how things played out, are now feeling more confident about entering the market.
Right. And I think that brings us to the big question, right? We've talked numbers, we've looked at trends, but why should you, the listener, care about any of this? What does it actually mean for you if you're thinking about buying a home?
The bottom line is this. More homes on the market means more choices for you. It means you're less likely to feel pressured to settle for something that doesn't quite fit your needs. Instead of having to compromise on location or size or features, you have more options to really find a home that you love that checks all the boxes.
I love that. It takes some of the pressure off, right? It's less about frantically trying to outbid everyone else and more about taking your time to find the right fit.
Exactly. And with more homes available, you might even see a slight cooling off in those super competitive bidding wars that have become so common in recent years.
Yeah, maybe a little more breathing room to negotiate, potentially get a better price. So what's the takeaway here? What should someone who's thinking about buying a home actually do with this information?
Well, I'd say now is a great time to get serious about your home search. Start by really digging into those online real estate portals. See what's out there in your target neighborhoods.
Right. Start getting a feel for what's available, the types of homes, the price ranges. And Sarah and Brandon at Rooster Homes, they offer a great piece of advice in their article. They say, and this is key, lean on a local real estate agent.
Can't emphasize that enough. A good local agent, they're your boots on the ground,
Yeah.
They're going to know the neighborhoods inside and out. They'll have access to listings that might not even be public yet. And they can guide you through the whole process, offer advice, negotiate on your behalf.
Really invaluable, especially in a market that's as dynamic as this one.
Hmm.
So to wrap things up, the main takeaway from our deep dive today is this. The significant rise we're seeing in new home listings is creating more opportunities for buyers.
It's a positive shift, no doubt about it. And as Daryl Fairweather pointed out, that increased inventory is a key factor in the current market, potentially making things a bit more balanced and a bit less crazy for buyers.
And it's something we can all get behind, right? More options, more choices, a less frenzied market. So here's a final thought to leave you with. Take some time to really picture your dream home. What does it look like? What kind of neighborhood is it in? What features does it have? With more homes on the market, that dream might be more within reach than it has been in a while. So maybe, just maybe, it's time to start exploring those possibilities, to start taking those first steps toward finding that perfect place.
It could be the perfect time to turn that dream into a reality.
It really could be. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive, everyone. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.